So, Joe, remember when we were trying to find a bandwagon because we thought the Yankees' free fall would plummet them through the basement?
Yeah,
That kind of it's a tale of three seasons for the Yankees. I know the book is a tale of two seasons, but when you go 15 and what was it, 15-5, 15-6, then go 5-15, and then win 10 games in a row, including an outright embarrassment of the Blue Jays. What do you make?
Who are you talking about? The Yankees didn't play the Blue Jays. No one showed up for those games.
I mean, no one's been showing up for any games, but that's beside the point. But
The only downside, though, is that 11th game where they had that loss, losing their 10-game winning streak, was a complete blowout. The Red Sox just crushed the Yankees that game.
yeah, well, tellingly, it was also I think Phenom Devi Garcia's first time working with Gary Sanchez. The other three times he was hooked up with Eric Kratz, who importantly he pitched to in AAA last year. So it could partly be unfamiliarity with the backstop. That's happened before. Remember the escapades of AJ Burnett throwing to Jorge Posada.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just some pitchers just prefer certain catchers. I mean, what is it? Cole, I think the last couple times has been pitching to Higashioka Tsukugira.
Higashioka.
Yeah, I'm so bad. I butchered that.
I see your Japanese is up to date.
Tell Kyle I said I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then also back in his days that David Ross was basically the personal catcher for John Lester when he was with the Red Sox and the Cubs.
Yep.
So
I mean, some guys just click with each other and they just seem better. So I mean, if that's what it's going to take to win a World Series, by all means, suck up your pride and put out the guys out there who are going to win it for you.
Yeah, because it's not like there's no shortage of people in the lineup, especially now that both Judge and Stanton are back. Even if they don't produce as well, that does lengthen out the lineup, and the two guys benefiting the most are the MVP candidate that we all thought from the Yankees, and the one that we didn't. The one that we thought, DJ LeMahieu, he's just gotten back right off where he's left off from his injury. He's down to a 361 batting average, but
Only.
yeah,
I mean, well, what's his name? Tim Anderson's at like 360, so
yeah, well,
Anderson's looking to steal the MVP title, the batting title from LeMahieu again.
well, I was gonna say that they keep talking about both of them as potential MVP candidates. Their stats are almost identical. That 361 versus 358, 10 home runs each, 43 games each. The only difference is Anderson has 4 more hits, but almost half as many walks and twice as many strikeouts.
Yeah, Anderson does not walk, but I mean, if you're hitting 360, I mean, it just comes down to those are just at bats or plate appearances where you could have walked instead.
Yeah.
And at that point, getting that hit was probably better because if there's runners on, you're possibly advancing the runners an extra base compared to the walk. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about that. It's the strikeouts though that worry me a little bit.
Yeah. But he's also young enough that he can.
Yeah.
There's room for growth. And speaking of growth, so funny story is that MLB Network, I'd like to say about less than a week ago, came out with a video on MVP candidates for the American League, and the hosts were putting in their ballots, and both of them said we put our ballots in and we weren't considering Luke Voit, but I think Luke Voit has a shot. And then Luke Voit hits 2 home runs, and then not only takes the MLB home run lead, but begins to run away with it.
Yeah.
21 home runs. The next most is 18 with Jose Abreu. So the only player with 20 home runs or more. The only one that's also been healthy in the lineup. Second in RBIs behind Jose Abreu. So
Who's having an MVP type season.
Yeah, notice how we're comparing the White Sox and the Yankees. Do you think that the MVP for the American League is going to come down to... It's going to come down to either those two guys or to the two teams or Shane Bieber on the Indians. Do you have an early feel of who you think could have it? Because while we're talking about all these batting stats, Shane Bieber is demolishing hitters this
All right.
year. So
So this is sort of my problem with the MVP this year. We've seen players. It happens every year. Players get hot before the All-Star break or after the All-Star break, and it makes or breaks a year. I mean, we saw what's his name? Who's on the Cubs? He threw like a .68 ERA after the All-Star break.
Kyle Hendricks.
No. He was on the Orioles, and then came over to the Cubs.
Oh, Jake Arrieta.
Yeah, Jake Arrieta. He went and had like an amazing streak of 12, 13 games. I mean, Shane Bieber, he's doing that in the first half of the season. Who's not to say he has a hiccup for a couple games, and that sub-2 ERA is now only like 2.75 or something.
Well, it's not just the ERA.
No.
He has 112 strikeouts. That's almost 30 more than Corbin Burns and a few other guys who are in the mid 80s.
No, I'm not just talking about the pitching as well. Like even Luke Voigt, we've seen guys come out swinging with 20, 25 home runs in the first half of the season, and then cool off and only finish with like 35 home runs for the year. So it's just a small window sample size, and as much as you want to say, oh, this player is definitely having a fantastic season, it's 60 games, and even some players missing some time. So some players might only be playing 45 games. That's such a small sample size. I mean, what was it? Yasiel Puig didn't get, I believe, Rookie of the Year or something, or whatever it was, because he had like not enough games or slightly too many games, whatever it was. But he was clearly the best player in that season for that category, but he just couldn't get whatever the right amount of games was to qualify for that.
At the same time, though, look at where he's 8-1 with the Indians. No one has 8 wins in Major League Baseball, and if you put a replacement level player, the Indians, who have a chance to clinch tonight, they're for the sixth berth in the American League. They might not be in it. They might be in a dogfight with Seattle, Los Angeles, and Baltimore and Detroit for that thing. So if you look at it that way, that the Indians might not be in a playoff position without how dominant Bieber has been. So that can sway a lot of voters too.
Yeah, and I think that's what's gonna give him the MVP voting, because, like we said, we just picked like 4 or 5 guys between the White Sox and the Yankees who could easily split votes, and I think Bieber might just end up with that. I mean, he's probably going to end up with the Cy Young for the American League.
Oh, no one is even close in the American League.
Unless if he has like some sort of mental breakdown this week in his like one remaining game and gives up like 30 runs.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. So Cy Young is definitely his. If he's going to join recent dual winners like Clayton Kershaw and Justin Verlander, we'll have to see. Which it'll probably happen, is my guess.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. Not only is it going to happen, it's going to be unanimous. Or as close to unanimous as it can be. If it's either unanimous or he maybe misses unanimous by a couple of votes.
Well, definitely Cy Young. I don't know about MVP though. I think he might take home like 45%. I don't think they're gonna. I don't know.
At the least, it'll be a majority and not a plurality.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get the most out of the first place votes. Just because everybody else is going to be sort of split up, but I don't know if he's going to get the overall majority. I wouldn't jump out to that, but then again, let's see what he does in this last game.
Yeah. Probably another 10, 15 strikeouts.
Another player to sort of be looking at is Shane Bieber's old buddy, I guess, Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
He's having one hell of a season. Bring up his stats
He's
here, if I can remember.
yeah.
Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, it's 4-4, but his peripherals are much better. 1.80 ERA, 88 strikeouts. Although his last start, he didn't do that well. Only 5 strikeouts in a shutout loss to guess who? The White Sox.
Yeah.
They're gonna
which is actually funny because a while back, Trevor Bauer told Tim Anderson, he's like, "Oh, the Lord takes off a day, so no bat flips this time." And Anderson's like, "Dude, have you seen my stats against you? I'm gonna take that bat flip."
Yeah, and he hit.
And then Anderson hits it deep, and he doesn't do a bat flip. And then Anderson like tweeted out or whatever and was like, "Yo, you better like post this on your channel." And I actually at lunch watched it. Trevor Bauer was just like, "All right, Tim Anderson's a really good batter. He hits really well." And he like broke it down, and he was showing some highlights of Tim Anderson just striking out, swinging at terrible pitches against Trevor Bauer for like a minute, and then all of a sudden he breaks down the at bat, and Bauer sort of says it's basically he gave up that home run because MLB because of COVID, although he said it's most likely because of the Astros. If they're not allowed to look at replays and whatnot in between innings to make adjustments and whatnot. And honestly, I don't think you should be able to.
No.
It's the game.
Yeah, and looking at replays is what led to the Astros in the first place.
Yeah, I think you should be allowed to look at them after games. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But during games, I honestly don't think that should be a thing. But regardless, though, Bauer's been having a really good season.
Yeah, although the problem for Bauer is it's not as clear cut as the American League. You have Max Fried, who without Max Fried, the Braves would not be in the postseason with all those injuries that decimated that pitching staff.
Yeah.
You have Jacob deGrom, who was 4-1, but his season is all but over with injury.
Yeah.
Kershaw,
I mean, we've seen deGrom pull out wins, the Cy Young win with not too much support before. So
yeah, but he can't do anything else to help his case. His stats are locked as they are. Darvish has turned it around after 2 lackluster seasons. Clayton Kershaw is always Clayton Kershaw, although he might be he doesn't really have the stats to do it. So kind of down to, I'd say, Bauer, Fried, and Darvish, unless you maybe want to throw in a Corbin Burns who has strikeouts but has a smaller sample size because he didn't start in the rotation.
So you wouldn't throw deGrom in with this at all?
I would say because of the injury, deGrom he only has 80 strikeouts, a 2 ERA, and will have 2 less starts than most of the other ones. I think he's not going to get a three-peat, unfortunately, because he's locked in at over 56 innings when Bauer and almost everyone else is going to have like 65, 70 innings under their belts. So I think that injury sadly cost him any legitimate shot at it. But as I said, I think it's going to be Bauer, but I don't know.
It's a little bit tougher at this point.
That Darvish has a higher ERA, but is almost his equal in everything else. Fewer walks, similar amount of strikeouts, more wins, which I know that doesn't really mean much, but in a tie it could. And importantly, fewer home runs. That Bauer has been subjected to the long ball this year, rather susceptibly compared to some of the other guys. 9 home runs, which is the most out of any of the starters that are in consideration of the award. Conversely, Darvish has given up only 5. So I don't know. It'll be close. And then I guess since we talked about the MVP, the Cy Young for everything else, looking at the National League for their MVP candidate, I think it's Mookie Betts to lose. 16 home runs, a .303 batting average. No one's close no one's really that close that I would say that he could lose it. Maybe Freddie Freeman or Trey Turner, but I don't think so.
Yeah. We thought Tatis was going to run away with that, with the way he was, but he's slipped a little bit lately. Machado's been pretty good. He's got similar stats to Mookie Betts.
Yeah, maybe Machado, man. But I think just the star power of the Dodgers might carry Betts over the line.
Yeah. But then again, they both have those big contracts too, so.
No, they have plenty of time to
Yeah.
to get another if they happen to lose there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame with Tatis that he cooled off badly. He's not even hitting 280 anymore.
Yeah. Now, what's kind of interesting, and we'll see this shape up over these next like 7 days or so, with where everybody falls into place in the for the brackets and whatnot for the postseason. And it's come down to, as we mentioned, Shane Bieber, possible dual winner. Cleveland Indians might get that number 7 seed. Who wants to play them?
At the moment, it's one of 3 teams that, and this also actually correlates directly with the Yankees too, because the race is right. The big race right now is in that for that number 2 seed, which you have the White Sox currently 34-19, a 642 winning percentage, but the A's are right behind them, 33-20, and then the Twins are 33-22. So that could go either way. And to add into all that, the Yankees are 31-22. They could go up and get the number 4 spot. So 2 of the 4 home fields for the wild card round in the American League are up for grabs. So it's not just who wants to face Shane Bieber, who wants to face the Yankees.
Yeah.
Because I think the answer to both is no.
Yeah. And now I don't think the Yankees are going to catch Tampa Bay 3.5 back with like 7 games to go.
And no way to directly influence it.
Yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen. It could if they didn't lose the series. What was it, 8-2?
Yeah, if they had split it, they would have been fine.
They'd both be fighting for it right now. But things like that don't always happen.
Yeah.
And we'll have to live and learn.
Yeah, but the bigger race is to try to get 3 games in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And
the only thing that worries me though is I think we touched upon it last time a little bit. Is I don't know if I want to play the Twins. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They were a really good team last year. The short season's given a young Chicago White Sox team a chance to make a quick sprint to the top of the division, a hard-fought sprint. But I don't know if I want to play the Twins. They've lost 16 straight playoff games, 13 of which to the Yankees. I mean, as long as the Yankees win 2 out of the 3, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They can drop one of the games, but either way, I'm a little worried of that. But then again, I think that might be the easiest of the teams to play.
Especially because the only other option at this point is the White Sox. So,
Yeah.
which we just talked have legitimate MVP caliber type players that with Abreu and Anderson. We didn't even talk about Yon Moncada or Eloy Jimenez and Dallas Keuchel and all that guys. There's a reason that the White Sox are leading.
Keuchel's a proven winner, but then again, the Yankees have had his number as of late.
Yeah.
He used to have their number, but the Yankees seem to have figured him out these last couple of years.
At the same time, however, I said this last week that I don't really see that much of a difference with the makeup of this Minnesota Twins team as opposed to the last Minnesota Twins team. I mean, you have...
No, but I think it's a mentality thing more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, Nelson Cruz is hitting the world, but the bigger thing to look at is the pitching, and we know in 2 starts that the Yankees absolutely kill Jose Barrios. Kenta Maeda could be an issue. At the same time, uh, he there's always that mystery that the Yankees could take that type of pitching. We saw that with Hung Jin Ryu, where a dominant pitcher was absolutely mullered by the Yankees. They're also dealing with some injuries right now that our favorite Uber driver pitcher, what's his name, is done for the year.
Yeah.
What's his? I forget his
I'm
name.
blanking.
Yeah, but yeah, you also have Michael Pineda who could get hit. The bullpen is not much different than last year, and that which is a good thing for the Yankees. And then that lineup, that lineup hasn't really changed. And plus, aside from maybe Jake Cave taking a bigger role,
Mm-hmm.
and they're also very prone to get banged up. Byron Buxton, Max Kepler, Josh Donaldson, to name a few. So, I don't know. I like the Twins a lot more than
Yeah,
the White Sox.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of dangerous teams to go through. It's not like a pretty easy cakewalk where you're like, oh yeah, we could probably take on everybody, except maybe like one team. With the last couple of years, I didn't think the Yankees would really have any trouble against anyone but Houston. But Houston's lost too many players due to injury and whatnot. Signing to the rival team, Garrett Cole. um, so
And Justin Verlander being lost
Yeah,
not only for this year but for next year with Tommy
Yeah.
John surgery.
he should have just had that surgery as soon as he had that. It's a shortened season anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
just
you
write it
should
as a
just-
loss.
strike it as a loss. Get that time to relax and get ready. And I mean, then again, he's missing an entire year anyway.
That 2-year contract extension, he got one start out of it. The
Yeah.
Astros. So it's gonna be interesting. Also notably for if the Yankees get past the first round of the playoffs, they have to face either the Blue Jays or the Rays. Which, as much as I don't want to face the Rays, the Blue Jays have not exactly been pushed as many as pushovers as some of those games would have believed you. There were a lot of games where they did or tried to roar back into the game.
Well, I think in some of those instances, the games were like just so out of hand. It was like, just go out there and throw the ball and get outs as however you want.
At the same time, then there's also sixth inning where Chad Green and
Yep.
Adam Ottavino could not get outs. So,
Well, although they said that it was hard to see the hand signals and the sun was a problem.
Yeah. Which,
How much that's true and how much that affects it, I don't know.
it'll also be in San Diego, which changes things as well. That ballpark none of the American League teams are familiar with.
Yeah. Well, and also even the regular National League teams, though. I mean, they'd be faced with orange skies, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, but that's basically 20 minutes of rambling about the Yankees and baseball.
Yeah. Let's just switch it over a little bit to the NBA right now, because we talked about teams going up and down, up and down. Because I mean, the Yankees basically all their losses come in 3 instances: 2 runs of 5, and then that 1 of 7.
Yeah.
But the Boston Celtics, oh boy. The first 2 games against the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals looked like they were going to do some real good damage, and then they forgot how to play basketball in the second half and blew the first game. Second game, they jumped out to a really good lead in the first quarter. Then the second quarter, the Heat tied it up. The Celtics took a third quarter lead, blew that one in the fourth, and then they get to overtime, and they lost that on an amazing block. I think we covered that last week or whatever. But then they get to the the third game, which they won. Spoiler. So now the series is 2-1 Heat. But the Celtics had like a 20-point lead at one point, and they almost blew that again. In between games 2 and 3, or right after game 2, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown were heard screaming in the locker room. Things were thrown. Marcus Smart left. They apparently had Brad Stevens had called in the players to talk it over and see what's going on, and it looked like they had their things going together in that game 3, but things seemed to slip. I don't know what to expect for game 4. I hope Boston gets their act together and
I told you, bracket busters. That's what the Heat are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I thought they were probably one of the most dangerous, scrappy teams. They find ways to win things. I know the Nuggets have done that the last 2 series, being down 3-1, and then coming back to win. It looked like the Nuggets were going to steal game 2, but then apparently Anthony Davis decided to whisper Kobe as he took that game-winning 3 to send the Lakers to a 2-0 series lead in the Western Conference Finals. So Nuggets are down, but they're not out yet. Same with the Celtics. I hope it doesn't come to Lakers-Celtics, because, I mean, the NBA hopes it comes out that way, because that would be a very marketable series.
Yep.
Because both teams, I believe, have 17 championships, I think, or maybe the Celtics have one more.
It's a lot.
And although the Lakers would have a lot more if they didn't lose 10 straight NBA championship matchups to the Celtics.
Yeah.
But Bill Russell had to be the best player for a while, which totally fine with as a Celtics fan. So we'll have to see.
You know what? The NBA doesn't care between the Celtics and the Heat. They care about the Lakers. They want that storyline of they're doing this for Kobe. They're going to win this for Kobe, and that's all they care about. That Adam Silver does not want the Nuggets to upset this and come back from this 2-0 deficit to win it.
Yeah, especially this is LeBron's second year with the Lakers. The first year was such a disappointment. I mean, they basically finished last year's regular season the way they did the year before LeBron. So it was sort of like as LeBron passed his prime, and now LeBron is sort of bitching, I guess for lack of better words, effective words, that he didn't get as many MVP votes as he thought he should have. And I kind of understand. I was talking about this with our friend Owen yesterday, and it's sort of, he only got 16 of the votes, but at the same time, it was so little that why even vote for him at that point if everybody else sort of figured that Giannis was the MVP, which just sort of boggles my mind at that point. I know it's not the first time, but it's sort of all right, whatever, who cares? I mean, I guess he does care because he's got a few MVP awards already, and he's trying to get the record with however many years left he has of playing, which is kind of hard to do considering his age and how many people have gotten MVPs this late in their careers. So I think it's going to be a little difficult for him to get that MVP record, but honestly, he should shut up about it and just focus on winning the championship, because honestly, that's what should matter, is winning that championship for a third different team and doing it that way. That's what matters, not the MVP.
Yeah, speaking of winning championships, the 49ers took their step to get back to the Super Bowl by beating the Jets in a convincing fashion, but it didn't. The game apparently didn't feel like it, which might have to do something with 4 players actually being carted off the field with big injuries, including quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, and the team is now blaming the turf at MetLife Stadium, saying that quote, Fix this trash MetLife turf. 2020 is so whack, says
Well, I mean,
Eric Armstead.
I've always really hated turf. The only turf field I didn't hate was one of the turf fields I played. Actually, two of them. One was in New York at the sports complex. It's a really nice complex. I really liked the turf field there. The other one was at Indian Hills High School over in Oakland, I think, or Franklin Lakes, whatever it was over there. For whatever reason, I played really well on that turf field. I just felt like at home on that field. But overall, I've never liked playing on turf. I slide around, you twist your ankles on it. It's just not meant to be. And I covered this in that video I did last year, that long extended video where I talked about the turf field in Hawthorne, and it's got its advantages and disadvantages. And when you're running a football game, it's easier to sort of deal with the turf field than it does with a grass field to keep maintaining that with everyone running around on it. But oof, I feel for them. But the Jets honestly should have came back and won that game, because I mean they were down at the half, but by halftime the 49ers lost half their starting players. The Jets couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
so.
well, to quote to follow up on that, a source from the Jets told Pro Football Talk that after their first game of the year, quote, "We were too busy getting our faces kicked in to worry about the turf." So I think even the Jets know we have bigger problems than the grounds crew. Although the NFL is taking a look at this because the 49ers are staying in New Jersey to face the Giants this week.
Oof.
So on Sunday, so they're going to have to deal with that again, and the Giants themselves are dealing with a big blow. Saquon Barkley is done for the season with a torn ACL. So the hope for the Giants was more on the outside looking in anyway, but this kind with Barkley gone, it makes it a lot harder for.
I mean, a lot of players went down this past week. The Broncos have lost a whole bunch of different players. The Carolina Panthers lost running back do-it-all Christian McCaffrey. So he's going to miss like the next 6 weeks. So that's not going to help an 0-2 Panthers team.
But the Panthers weren't really expected to do much anything, especially.
No, but considering McCaffrey just had like 2 really good years and got paid good money. I mean, not Patrick Mahomes money, but better than what we're making, which is most
of them.
But so it's kind of a bit of a letdown when you see it, because you see this all the time too, where you get these guys get big contracts after playing good for a couple of years, and then sometimes they just don't come back from injury.
Yeah.
Especially with a running back. Because you only have like a short window of like having elite years, unless if you're running back on the Jets, who I am blanking on the name. I don't know why. He's like the number 3 all-time rusher. I am looking this up. Frank Gore. Unless if you're Frank Gore and you can just keep running for 20 years.
Yeah. Broncos are also out with quarterback Drew Lock and wide receiver Courtland Sutton.
And they've been out with Von Miller, this all-star linebacker.
But this is what football is, though. Honestly, it's who are the last men standing at the end of the year to get them through the playoffs, because I've seen many a time in the years where a team does great in the season, but by the time they get to the playoffs, half the starting line is down and they get rolled over. So it's not the only injuries that matter right now are the ones that can't come back. And I guess early week 2 standings, the Bills, Ravens, Titans, Chiefs, Packers, Bears, Cardinals, and Rams and Seahawks are all undefeated through their first 2 games. That means nothing right now, but
the Falcons, though, they should have won their game against the Dallas Cowboys. The Falcons are such a disgraceful organization. After blowing that Super Bowl lead to the Patriots a few years back, They just can't hold on to any good wins or any good games to give them a win. They were up 20 points in the first quarter, up 19 points at the half, and then with 5 minutes to go, they're up like 15 points, and they blew it. I don't know if you saw the highlight of the onside kick the Cowboys had.
Yeah.
The kicker, it looked like he just like kicked it. I mean, it was I guess it was an effective kick because the Cowboys got possession and then went down to get the game-winning field goal. So I guess it was a good kick. But it just like sort of like helicoptered the football, and the guys on the Falcons just like looked at the ball and they're like, "Oh, don't touch it." My dad was saying it was sort of, or my dad, I think it was. What's his name? Tony Kornheiser. He was like, oh, it's maybe sort of like a foul, like a bunted ball, and you're like seeing if it's going to go fair or foul, and it's just like, and they didn't want to touch it, but when you do a kickoff, whether it's an onside, a squib kick, or a regular kick, whatever, as long as it goes that 10 yards, that's a live ball. That's like a fumble. Anyone can get that. You got to touch it. That's not like a punted ball.
Yeah.
So shame on the Falcons for that.
Yeah, maybe it's just Atlanta sports in general, considering the Braves' embarrassment Game 5 of the division series last year. Maybe it's just their destiny to choke.
Yeah, I don't know. They're gonna need something. Hopefully they don't get it because I want the Yankees to win, and I like the Dodgers too, and the nice upstart Padres are looking good.
Yeah.
As for football, Jets suck. I'm a Seahawks fan now. Go Russell Wilson.
Giants suck as well, so we can't even go there.
Yeah. No, I've been a Seahawks fan since the Seahawks landed. Why am I blanking on so many names today? I can't even. I don't know what's going on with me today. Wow. He's a former Jets running back, and he went over there. Leon Washington. So, yeah, I've been sort of on there since basically Wilson's start.
Meanwhile, I don't watch football. I go with good stories, and I like.
I think you've seen more football games than I have.
I've gone to is that counting college or not counting college?
College and high school.
All right, yeah, in that case, I have.
Yeah, so you've probably seen more games well, maybe not, because I've been watching football games since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But
and I've
by
also,
comparison, you've seen a good amount, but whether you've paid attention to them.
I was more focused on my sheet music than the line play. Although I have been watching. One of my favorite YouTubers, Urinating Tree, does a lot of sports breakdowns that are hilarious, to say the least. And he does a series that wraps up each week in football, that more or less. So that's where I get a lot of my football content. Just seeing a transplanted Pittsburgh fan rant and rave about sports.
Oh, he's a Pittsburgh fan?
He was, which is why he's done so many videos on the Pirates and how they suck.
All right, because one of my favorite people to watch on YouTube is Pittsburgh Dad, and he breaks down the Steelers games. He does a couple other things every once in a while, but he's always a good watch too.
Yeah.
So.
I say he's a Pittsburgh fan, but he also takes great revel in riffing on the Mets and the Giants, especially mainly because of the dysfunction in both of those teams.
He should make fun of the New York Rangers too, because James Dolan's an idiot. As long as,
he doesn't do too much of as in depth for hockey and basketball, but he does cover it, and I think he more riffs for hockey on the Maple Leafs, just because that's even more dysfunctional than the Rangers and the Knicks put together.
Oof. Well, actually, speaking of hockey, we have the Dallas Stars leading the Stanley Cups series, 1-0 as of recording.
Yeah, that doesn't doesn't
they
really
took a
need
4-1 4-1 game one. So I think the Lightning were just tired. So hopefully they saw what they needed to see. They get their day or two's rest, and they're ready to go for game two.
Yep, tonight. By next recording, we should either know if who won, or we're prepping for a game 6 or game 7.
Yeah. So
depending on when we get around to recording.
I said to my sister's boyfriend Chris, I was like, they should just like flip a quarter, like be like, all right, we're here, but like we're all tired at this point. We're gonna just flip a coin. And we're gonna play it out. It's gonna be a sweep. It'll just be 4 games, no overtimes. Ready, go.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, that is our last recording of summer. Summer is at an end.
And actually, Kevin Harvick got his 9th win of the series for NASCAR.
Always got to get NASCAR in somehow.
Got to get it in there. Especially when Harvick wins. So it's going to be down to the round of 12 this time. Harvick basically picked up enough bonus points to basically not show up for one of the races and be fine.
And then
it'll be down to that.
Yeah. And then the other figure in baseball that we haven't talked about, the race for the bottom, as it's called, for the overall draft pick, that seems to be a lock from the Pirates, who are 15 and 38. And then following them in order are the Rangers, the Diamondbacks in Boston, who are tied, and then the Nationals with the Royals not far behind them. So, do you think that quickly before we end, do you think that the Nationals and the Red Sox are just going to use this to get a very high draft pick and quickly retool?
Oh, definitely. Especially Boston. I mean, the way Boston's been operating the last 15 years, it's World Series, or really close to the World Series, or completely tank the season. I mean, we saw that while we were in college. They went from worst to first to worst to first to worst. In like a matter of a season.
They've won.
Seasons, so.
Yeah, they've won since 2004. The 4 season they've won 1, 2, 3, 4 World Series, and in that span they've also had I think this will be the 3rd time in that span that they've had a top 10 draft pick as well. So that tells you that World Series, then bust, then World Series again, rinse and repeat.
See, I don't know how I feel like about that, being a fan like that. I feel like I want my team to be competitive every year, but then again, you want those World Series or the NBA championships or the Stanley Cup.
It's the old would you rather? Would you rather have World Series wins but be a mediocre player, or be Ken Griffey Jr. and be the greatest player in the world and never reach the World Series?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's always been win the World Series, win the big trophy. I mean, you see that all the time with some of these guys. What was it? One of the Molina brothers, I think he's got like 3 rings.
Yeah.
Benji, or
no,
what was that?
No, Yadier, because he's been on the Cardinals.
Yeah, but I think one of his other brothers has like 2 rings or something as well. I thought.
I know. Oh yeah, Jose, I think.
Yeah. Either way.
I think all of them have at least 2.
Yeah. So I mean, Yadier is definitely a Hall of Fame catcher, no doubt. But his brothers, I mean, they got rings, and they're probably gonna be nowhere near Cooperstown.
No, but as I said, for every Ken Griffey Jr., there's also a Bucky Dent or Eric Hinsky that are remembered for their postseason heroics.
Yep.
But that'll remain to be seen until next week, when we take a look at the 8 teams that do make it into the playoffs and figure out who we like out of the bunch to go far.
Yeah, and who wants to play the Cleveland Indians
and the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers too, because that wild card in the National League is a mess.
Yeah, the Dodgers, it's definitely World Series or bust for them. If they don't win this year, I think they're going to have a new manager at this point.
Well, yeah, but we'll get to that next
week. So.
Joe, it's good talking to you as always.
All right. You too as well.
Wash your hands, put that mask on, put it on over your mouth, not over your eyes. That's called a sleep mask.
Oh, and go Clint Frazier, Yankees MVP.
No, Luke Voigt.
All right. Talk to you next time.
Bye.